Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on this Friday morning for our Back to Homeschool webinar series. We have session one today, or right now, and we're going to do practical hacks for homeschooling success with Heather Young. So if you want to drop in the chat where you're joining us from, we are so excited to share this with you and so excited to have these webinar series where we can get this great information to homeschool parents all over the state. I am Anna Grace Ball. I am the events project manager here at the Texas Homeschool Coalition. I was homeschooled my entire life and look forward to one day being able to be a second generation homeschool parent. At THSC, our mission is to encourage, equip, and advocate for homeschool families in their home education journey, which is why we have these incredible value-packed webinars, because we just want to serve you in every possible way that we can and make sure that y'all are having everything that you need. So what you can expect in this webinar, we are going to have a live chat support. So if you have any questions, we have our wonderful team standing by to help answer those. And then we will also have a time of questions with Heather after she finishes talking. So you can drop any questions you have for her in the chat. With this being our back to school webinar, we also have a Q&A session as our last session of the day at 2:30. So for that last session, we will have the full panel of our THSC coaches on with Heather, Jessica, and Vicki. So if you have any questions for that session that you want kind of elaborated on more at the end of the day, you can just at the THSC coaches in the chat and we will add those to our questions for the last session. But if you have anything for Heather during this session, make sure you put those in the chat and we will get to as many of those as possible. We have a fun opportunity today with our back to school webinar. We're going to have 2 giveaways at the end of every session. And so we're going to be giving 2 tickets to our 2027 Capital Days, which if you don't know about them, don't worry. I will tell you all about what that is at the end of this webinar. But it's really exciting and you're definitely going to want to join us for those Capital Days in Austin in the spring. And then we also are going to have a full set of our 2026 convention recordings. So just type giveaway into the chat to enter to win one of those prizes. We will draw at the end of this webinar. And so you must be present to win. So at the end of everything, I will call the winners and then we will collect your emails and give you the information on how to redeem those prizes. Today, I am also excited to introduce our sponsor. We have Christian Book with us today. At Christian Book, you can find the trusted homeschool curricula and publishers you want, as well as the expert support and guidance you need, all at the best price. So stop by christianbooks.com today, where you will find everything homeschooling for less. Now we have a short video from them so you can see what they would say from their side.
Hi, and welcome to Christian Book, your trusted source for everything homeschool, all at affordable prices. Whether you're just starting out or have years of experience, you'll find trusted curricula, top publishers, and practical resources to help your family thrive. We also partner with trusted homeschool voices like Whitney Newby, Mandy Davis, Ruth Ann Zimmerman, and others who encourage families in faith and learning. But one of the best things we offer isn't curriculum at all, it's support. At christianbook.com, we know that homeschooling is a journey. Some days you'll feel confident, and other days you'll have questions, or simply need someone to point you in the right direction. That's why we have helpful content, from our comprehensive step-by-step homeschool guide to our easy curriculum kit builder or numerous other resources, including Homeschool Compass, a hub filled with practical guidance, helpful articles, and free printables to support your homeschool throughout the year. And sometimes, the best resource is talking with a real person. Our homeschool curriculum advisors are here to help you find curriculum that fits your family's unique goals, learning styles, and budget. They can answer your questions, explain your options, and help you choose with confidence. You can connect with a curriculum advisor in whatever way works best for you, by phone, email, or live chat. There's no pressure and no one-size-fits-all approach, just knowledgeable advisors who understand homeschooling and want to help. And homeschooling is just one way we serve families, from inspiring books and Bibles to thoughtful gifts, home decor, academic resources, toys, games, and more. We're here to nurture faith, learning, and family every day. God entrusted these children to you. You've got what it takes, and we're honored to come alongside you every step of the way.
So big shout out to them. Thank them for um, hosting this webinar. And we are, just excited to be able to tell you a little bit about that resource and hope you check them out. Today, we have Heather Young as our speaker. So Heather joined the Texas Homeschool Coalition in 2021 as the special needs specialist, and now is our, let's see if I can get this right. It's a long title. Our customer relations / member support manager and member coach for the customer relations team. So she does anything and everything as far as helping out with our members and coaching and all of the things. She and her husband became homeschool parents in 2013 to their 2 wonderful children who will begin 12th and 9th grade this school year. So she definitely knows all of the things from littles to now she's about to have her first high school graduate, which is super exciting. She has a bachelor's degree in psychology, a master's degree in marriage and family therapy, and a master's degree in school counseling. Heather enjoys making memories with her family, camping, reading, watching Aggies football, and supporting their children as they serve their community through their dance ministry team. Heather's goal today is just to her, and in everything that she does, is to encourage families to hold fast to a firm foundation in Christ, to let go of perceived obstacles and focus on the gifts given to raise their children freely, and to find the creativity, blessing, and freedom that homeschooling can foster. I'm super excited for y'all to hear from Heather, and Heather, take it away.
All right. We are going to get started here as I can get my screen going here. All right, here we go. So I have quite a bit to share with everybody today. So we are going to just get started. So first, the foundation. We are just going to talk about the foundation of homeschooling and move along. All right, so families are free to homeschool. I want everybody to hear that. Families are free to homeschool in this state of Texas. Districts cannot prosecute families simply for homeschooling. Homeschools exempt as private schools, and school officials do not have authority to determine if families are legitimately homeschooling. Texas homeschool laws, there's only 3 that you need to know and to have that foundation on. School must be bona fide. Your instruction needs to be bona fide, meaning you're providing your kiddos with the instruction that they need and you're growing in the academics that they along with them. And curriculum, it needs to be in some kind of visual form, so it's kind of hard not to be in visual form. You have books, you have workbooks, videos, manipulatives, those kinds of things. And lastly, your curriculum must include 5 basic subjects. Those are spelling, reading, grammar, math, and good citizenship. So that can kind of look like government and economics for your older kiddos, but it can also look like learning about the people in your community, your military, your first responders, Veterans Day, Memorial Day, those kinds of things when the kiddos are younger. All right, our homeschool withdrawal process. So if you've never been enrolled, then you just begin homeschooling. You don't have to report to anybody that you are. Your child, if they are enrolled, and this includes preschool, so if you have registered them for preschool, you're still going to want to complete a withdrawal form. So that withdrawal form you can find on our website, and when you submit all of the information, then it will give you an email that has the instructions who to send this withdrawal form to. And with that, you will also have information if your kiddo is in special education, who in the special education department that you'll need to send that to. And then you have your withdrawal letter that's under that, and you can copy, paste that into an email and send it to those individuals. Just keep in mind, it's good to keep everything in writing, whether that's through email or certified mail, so you have that documentation. An ARD meeting is not required to withdraw a child with special needs. You do not need the school's permission to homeschool. For private school students, you still will want to withdraw and look at those written policies that they have regarding withdrawal. But you don't need approval for your curriculum, for your schedule, for your start date, any of those things. And if you do end up coming into a situation where the district is asking for additional things, there's what's called the letter of assurance that you can also find on the same website for our withdrawal page. And you print that out, sign it, scan it back in, email it off, and that should be the end of that situation. If not, and you're a member, please reach out to us so that we can so that our policy team can help you. How many people have a black screen? Because we want to make sure you guys are seeing all of this. Okay. Okay. I can stop sharing and start again if I need to. Okay. All right. So moving right along, we are going to talk about some things with curriculum scheduling and character development. All right. So I want you to think of curriculum as your tool and as your guide. This is where you set the pace. Your kiddo can work on fourth grade math and sixth grade English at the same time if that's where they're at. That's the beauty of homeschooling. You get to personalize this for your kiddos and move them forward as they're ready to move forward. You can document what works, and that record helps you keep moving on. Include accommodations if you have a kiddo that needs accommodations, but this helps you now and through your journey to keep track of how your kiddo's moving along. Just keep in mind, you know your child best, better than anyone. Trust that knowledge. I want y'all to hear that. Please trust that knowledge. It is one of your greatest strengths as a parent and as an educator. You know, there's so many different styles of curriculum and homeschooling and all these things, and that's great. But when it comes down to it, you know what your family needs. When you're looking at choosing a curriculum, some of the things that I kind of look at is I observe my kiddos. What sparks joy in their life? What helps them understand? What do they love to do? What are some strengths, some weaknesses? You know, what's our daily schedule? If you're a working family, you might need to look at that. You know, are you working part-time, full-time? Do you have multiple kids? What is your budget? And, you know, looking at, you've got independent learners and kids that are more hands-on, and, you know, looking at all of that together. And so after looking all of that and you've picked your curriculum and the lessons just aren't working, so what do? We adjust. And you're free to adjust because we're homeschooling. We can assign odd or even numbers on a math practice page instead of doing them all. We can hold a book discussion with our favorite snacks instead of a written book report. You can use project-based learning where you, instead of just reading a textbook about the cells, you have your kiddos create a model of a cell, and they can learn about all the parts of the cell in that, and then they come and they present that to you, and you get to see just how well they have worked through this project and what they've learned. Curriculum providers like to give us a variety of options of extra activities that we can do to help kids solidify what they've learned, but you don't have to use all of them because they try to touch, you know, on these activities for a variety of different learners. And you don't have to do them once a week. You can do it once a month. You get to choose your pace. Let your kiddos give you an oral report instead of a written report. Or maybe spread out the lesson that contains multiple steps, such as a research project. One way that you can kind of help with the written aspect of things is, say you're learning about just how to create an outline to start your paper. Let them create that outline and then let them give you the oral paper and you write it down. And then from there, they copy it. And just by doing that, you have focused on the one thing that you need to focus on, that outline. But then with them copying what you wrote, you're showing them proper structure for sentences, paragraphs, grammar, spelling, all of those things. So those are just some different hacks if, you know, the lesson's not going just as planned. So because sometimes we need a new direction, here's some other options. With writing utensils when kiddos are little, use let them use a finger to trace letters and numbers and shapes. I had a shallow container that I would put the letter shape in there, and then I would throw in some corn or some grass, for spring or whatever, and that would bring in some sensory into their drawing or tracing. Or you could use a paintbrush and water and write on the driveway or the side of your house, and it gives them a different sensory feel to writing. And you can use the little golf pencils to kind of help maybe create an appropriate pencil grip. You can also use school assignments to that and relate that to different careers, and once a month maybe study a different career. You can ask your friends and family. We did this and it was so fun. The kids would run to the mailbox every single day to see if a postcard came and where it came from. We got them from almost every 50 states and from almost every continent. Now, we didn't get Antarctica, but that would have been interesting to see. But we loved it because we could see history and geography in a different way. Okay, scheduling. I'm going to touch a little bit on this real quick. You've got your detailed schedule and you have your flexible routine. We've had both because when my kiddos were younger, we needed a more detailed schedule. But as they got older, we kind of chunked our day. And so now in the morning, they know this is what needs to get done. They get to choose when they use math or when they do language, whatever it is, and it fits better in our daily routine. And so, and that can switch throughout, your homeschool journey. It did for us. Here's some examples. One thing that I loved when I found this out was the spiral notebook. It opened up a world of peace and freedom for me because I didn't feel like I had to create all my lesson plans. And so, but it also helped our kids learn how to use a planner and work on executive functioning skills like organization. And so I would start with the daily schedule. It helped them stay accountable to what they needed to do. It kept me accountable. And so it just kind of helped us work through the day to day. Then they got older, and now we are looking at weekly plans, and it's helping them see it from a broader view. And now our kids, I still keep my spiral notebook and I still use it for my accountability, but they have their own planners. I write out everything for a week. They place it in their planners so that they're learning how to take what's the assignments and spread them out in their own weekly schedule. And so it's just a way to help them grow and learn. Okay, so some hacks when days are just not going as scheduled, because in reality, that just happens when you're homeschooling and life is happening. So we would just drop everything some days and take field trips. That's okay. We would build a fort and do our school in there. We would pitch a tent and do the school outside. One of our fun memories is doing a movie scavenger hunt. So I would print out a sheet of paper with, say, the symbols of America, watch National Treasure, and they had to be on the lookout for these different things as we're going through the movie. And then we talk about it. Another period of time in our life, we had to utilize car schooling. And what I mean by that is we lived at doctor's appointments. We were at the allergist or speech therapy or vision therapy, various different things. And so some days we just were in the car. And so I kept, just everyday things that we would need for our car or for our assignments. And we would take it with us and we would find the coffee shops or playgrounds and school there in between. But if y'all have not heard of Jonathan Park's Adventures, please look them up because that was an amazing way for us to get reading comprehension in. And we learned about history and science and Bible all in one as we would drive along to all these different things. Okay. Some of y'all may be homeschooling multiple ages. So I have put some independent activity ideas on here for you guys. Independent work really can help foster some character development. It can help you balance individual time with one kid while others are doing independent work, or it'll help you balance if you're working, when they're doing independent work, you can be working. Older kiddos can help school younger kiddos, and that gives them other skills. But you can also use things like Christmas around the world and foreign language or science experiments, nature walks, those kinds of things, games, to do schooling all together. And that will help minimize the number of hours in the day that you're schooling. So we did a lot of that because it was actually really fun to do things together. Okay, it seems like I have skipped a um, a slide. So we are going to, I apologize because I really want this slide to show. Try this again. Good gracious. Okay. I apologize for this. I am not quite sure what is happening. Okay. We are going to try this one last time and move on because I want y'all to get all this information and I want to get to questions. So, okay. We're going to talk about just a few more tips. Let me start this slideshow again. Okay. Again, I apologize. All right, deschooling. I want to say it's good for kiddos, but it's also good for parents because as a teacher prior to homeschooling, I needed to deschool and kind of get more of a flexible, mindset, think outside of the box, And earlier, how I talked about we adjust things, we just had a life lesson on adjusting because things weren't going as well with technology. It happens in everyday life and our tech, and just so it's okay. We take deep breaths and we keep moving. So sometimes we set expectations, like I would love for my screen or my PowerPoint to cooperate with me, and sometimes it doesn't. So we adjust, right? And so sometimes we need to look at, are our expectations attainable and age appropriate? And that's for us too, moms and dads, because sometimes we set really high expectations and we need to look at those. With kiddos, sometimes we need to just do simple first and then directions. First math, then we'll take a break. And it gives them a time frame and it gives them structure and they know what's coming next. Rewards and tokens. These are great. Lots of families use them and I use them. But one thing that I always like to talk about really is that sometimes we also need to think of stretching out those rewards because as adults, we work and we get paid over a period of time. And it helps kids to understand that we work into the Lord and every day, whether we are getting an immediate reward or not. Using timers can really help us understand periods of time when we need to return to assignment, when break is over, or how long an assignment is actually going to take. It kind of gives a concrete picture to something that may be abstract. Choices are great and kids can thrive on choices, but even as adults, if we have too many choices, we can feel overwhelming. So providing a couple of choices allows our kids to grow in their skills and just kind of have some of that flexibility. And all these things do kind of fall under helping our kids learn executive functioning skills. I know I say that word a lot because we learn a lot of that as we get older. And so planning and time management, those kinds of things really are helpful as you go along. And you can teach those skills along with conflict resolution skills and just those habits and manners with role-playing situations or reading living books that really demonstrates good character through the characters that are in those books, and we can relate them to our lives. Okay, this is really where I really want to land is character development because it's not all about the academics. It's about growing the heart. So THSC has a homeschool roadmap, and on that roadmap, it has different transition points throughout their kids' development. I would say these are very pivotal moments. And sometimes it's good to take a step back from those academics, and maybe dad needs to come in and feed into the sons and disciple them, or come alongside your daughters and giving them example of what a godly husband is as they're getting older and wanting to just to instill that into them. Dads are so important, and moms are important, dads are important. because God created moms and dads to fulfill specific needs in our kids. And so, um, I think that's just such an important thing for us to remember as they're growing. And kids, sometimes as their skills increase, we might see some behaviors increase because they're trying out their new skills and their new independence. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're trying to be rude or disrespectful. They just don't know how to use that yet. And so taking a step back and kind of helping them grow in those new skills may be a great break that you need to take in the academics for that day. Some days you just need to be mom and dad. And service projects, great way to allow our kids the opportunity to look outside themselves and, foster compassion and selflessness. There's a couple of other resources on here that I've put. I hope that you guys can, that these are helpful for y'all. I know the Kids of Integrity by Focus on the Family, that is actually free online, and you can get great full lessons on character traits and biblical foundation. So I want y'all to just utilize these if they are helpful for your family. We use them and they were helpful for us. Lastly, I want to just give some encouragement because we begin with a solid foundation. For me, that is my morning routine with my quiet time and my prayer. And I pray all day long. Some days I it's really, I need that. And I kind of, spend some time daily or weekly just checking the kids' work and planners. It holds them accountable and holds me accountable. And I try to prepare ahead of time, but sometimes the days just don't go as planned. And so that's okay. Because as I've learned, as I've been homeschooling, that our kids are watching us in the times that go smoothly and in those days that don't go just as planned. And they're watching us and how we handle that. And so, starting with a quiet time and prayer and all these things, it really models to them some great foundational just things in their life to stand upon. And remember, what works for you may not work for somebody else, and what works for somebody else may not work for you, and that's okay. Don't compare your journey with somebody else. God gave you your kids, and that's who you focus on, because others are going to have different things that they do, but your kids, your family. And make memories. One of the things that I remember and love is that during Thanksgiving, we write what we're thankful for from throughout the whole year, and we put it in a Christmas ornament, and we hang it on our tree on New Year's Eve. And it's a reminder to us of how our year, like just the memories we made over the year, and that we're about to make some new ones. So I leave you with Proverbs 3:5-6 and Psalms 32:8. These are the scriptures that I held on to and has really helped me throughout our journey, because it reminded me to trust in God and that He is going to make my path straight. He is going to guide my husband and I as we teach our kiddos. So I hope that some of this was encouraging to y'all and kind of gave you some hacks for those days that things just don't seem to go as planned. So I hope that it was helpful.
Okay, I saw something happened. Can someone on the back end tell me if we're good? Okay, beautiful. Sorry about that, guys. We just had a slight technical issue, but hopefully it's all resolved now. So we're just going to go into our questions with Heather. Heather, our first question for you is, why did you start homeschooling?
So we started homeschooling for a variety of reasons. One, we had kiddos that had some specific needs that medical needs that we need to take care of. But I also taught. And so I just felt, and my husband and I felt, that homeschooling was a better fit for our kids and for the needs that they had. And it allowed us to just pour into them a biblical foundation, which is what we really wanted for them, and allow them to explore the interests that they really have. Our kids have learned so many things, but the best thing that I loved was when my son said to me, he said, Mom, I don't really like school, but I love learning. And that was the point. We wanted them to love learning. And then we wanted them to have a good, solid faith foundation.
Yeah. The second question is, if my son is behind a grade level, should he return to public school? And how do I keep track of requirements if we want to re-enroll in public school later?
Okay. So you don't have to go back into public school just because maybe they're behind a grade, or whatever that may be for him. But when you're looking at homeschooling, you get to set that pace. I mean, there was one year that my oldest, we needed to revisit second grade because that is when we found out we needed to go in and do some vision therapy and different things like that. And so technically, I guess you could have considered him behind at that time. However, it was his pace. So he wasn't behind. And we were able to revisit math and get caught up and move forward. And so you set that pace. When you're looking at re-enrolling back into public school, one of the things that I like to suggest is that you contact your school district, because each school district has an umbrella that they have to fall under in order to enroll students into public school. But knowing what their policy is for that will help you understand how you need to keep records and just all of those things so that you can be prepared if at some point that is what you decide to do for your family, if you're re-enrolling into public school.
Yeah. Lovely. I'm going to combine two questions for you that you basically answered during your talk, but I'll just kind of give you an opportunity for these people to get their specific questions answered, and also just for you to clarify it one last time. So the questions are, do I have to sign my child up somewhere to homeschool? And then another person asked, how do you legally start homeschooling with children 4 and under? So
Okay.
you talked about that, but I'll let you touch on it again.
Sure. Okay, so no, you do not have to sign up anywhere to homeschool. You don't have to enroll to homeschool. You just can simply start homeschooling. If your kiddo has never been registered, you just start homeschooling. You don't have to report to any agency or organization, and if they're under the age of 4, you're not of age to homeschool or to school technically. So you can just really just learn through everyday life, because life is learning. And so play games, go on nature hikes and go on field trips, because that is learning. Play is learning for our younger kiddos, and really our older kiddos too. They like to play games too. Okay. So any age play is great. So I hope that helps, because really there's only 3 rules or through 3 laws to homeschooling in Texas: that your instruction is bona fide, that your curriculum is in visual form, and that you're covering 5 basic subjects: your math, your reading, spelling, grammar, and good citizenship.
Yeah. Okay, our next question asks that I'm confused about curriculum, vendors, and supplies. Where do I start?
Okay, it's a great question. And it can seem overwhelming for sure. One thing I will say is we are having another webinar that will dive deeper into curriculum. So stay tuned for that. But, Kathy Duffy's reviews has a lot of reviews on homeschool curriculum. And so you can go and you can look on there and see what might be a good fit for your family. Now, if you're talking about vendors and if you're in the aspect of TEFA, that's kind of different. So I'm just going to kind of touch on just curriculum in general and where you find it. Homeschool, christianbook.com, they do have a lot of those curriculum providers on there, but Kathy Duffy Review also has them on there that you can read a review about. So I would say start there, observe what your kids really enjoy doing, what works for your family's routine, and kind of go from there.
Yeah. Okay, I have one last question for you, and it's kind of a doozy. So, how do you homeschool while working full-time with 3 young children?
Okay. So when I started homeschooling, I was not working, and then I went to part-time. and then I went to full time. So I kind of had to adjust along the way. Um, you can look at using, depending on their age, right? You need age appropriate activities for your kids, and if they're at an age where they can do some independent activities, even if it's just puzzles or coloring, those kinds of things, then you can set aside a time for your work, and while you're working, they're doing that independent work. And then during other times of the day, you set aside that time to specifically work with your kiddos. You may need to adjust where you work if you're working from home so that your kids are surrounded by you and you can kind of help as you're going along. We would sit at our kitchen table, and I had one kid on one side and one kid on the other side. And that way they were right there to ask questions. And, really, we don't have to look at the typical daily homeschool or school schedule in general. Your school could be in the evening, your school could be on the weekend. So you get to choose how you structure your day. So try to think out of the box when it comes to what school will look like for you.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm supposed to add anything to this, but I'm just going to.
Okay.
But I was also thinking when it comes to young children, you also need to remember that like with the public school system, they will tell you that your kid needs to be doing school and in school for 8 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of that time is downtime where they're not actually doing anything. The
Yep.
amount of time that it takes, especially little kids, to do school is much shorter than what a public school system will tell you. And so you're not actually going
Absolutely.
to be actively sitting at a table with the workbook
Right.
or doing a project from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Oh,
That's not
absolutely.
necessary.
Absolutely. That's why working in the evening,
Hmm.
doing school in the evening or school on the weekend really can work
Hmm.
because, I mean, you don't need all those hours necessarily. I mean, when my kids were younger, we finished by noon.
Hmm.
And then the afternoon, we did a field trip or we did art or something. And so, you take out all those different transition times and you really just have a shortened period of time. And the younger they are, the shorter amount of time you really need to have them sitting. And you can learn by just my kids and I, we would go outside, use sidewalk chalk and do our letters on the sidewalk. I mean, we played a lot when my kids were younger. So just keep that in mind. It's a really good thing to keep in mind.
Yeah. Heather, do you have any last comments you would like to give to people and just kind of wrap up our time?
Sure. Um, my main goal is always to just encourage. And I really, really want families to know that you were given these kiddos by God, and He will give you what you need for your kiddos to teach them academics, to teach them character development, all the things. Some days may seem hard and other than others, but it's just beautiful as you watch your kids light bulbs go off and you see them grasp something for the first time, or they find a new interest and they just dive into that and they learn and they share that with you. Make memories. um, but moms and dads, mostly what I want y'all to know is that you can do this. You really can. And we're here to support you. And you just know that God is there. He's going to help guide you. And y'all are so important to your kiddos. And I just want y'all to have a great and wonderful, blessed year. So enjoy the rest of the day. That's all I have.
Thank you so much, Heather, for sharing. I know that even listening as someone who is not currently homeschooling kiddos yet, it's still encouraging and great for me to listen to everything that you shared. So thank you so much for coming and sharing with us.
Well, thank you
Um,
for having me.
we are going to go into some announcements. They're going to pull up our slides. Beautiful. So, for this Back to Homeschool webinar, we are going to have 3 more sessions. So, if you found this session helpful, make sure to grab your friends for the next ones and join us for the remaining sessions of our series. We will have Jeannie Fulbright. She's going to present on how to develop self motivated students at 11. Alice Reinhart is going to share on how to tell if your curriculum is working and what to do if it isn't. So if you are the one who asked that question about curriculum, you definitely want to hop on at 1 for that one. And then we will close up the day at 2:30 with our homeschool coaches who will answer all of your homeschool questions and make sure you're fully equipped to take on your next year of homeschooling. So Heather will be back on, and then we will also be joined by Jessica and Vicky for that last session at 2:30. We have lots of back to the school year, getting back into everything specials going on right now, so we just want y'all to be able to take advantage and be fully equipped and ready to start your next school year. We are so excited for y'all to be able to take advantage of some of these. So we have our convention recordings for sale, and so whether you were able to join us in Houston for convention, or you just want to re-listen to some of the sessions, or you missed out on this year and you just want to hear from our amazing convention speakers for the first time, we're running a special on our 2026 convention recordings that includes speakers such as Rick Green, Christy Faith, Trim and Healthy Mamas, and so many other speakers. So if you don't want to miss out on this limited opportunity to access this encouragement and advice, we have it extremely discounted at the moment. So it's $33 right now, which is 66% off our normal cost, $99. So this is a webinar special for our back to homeschool. So starting the school year. So it will not be available for long. So if you are interested in that, you want to go ahead and take advantage of it shortly. And then we also have our membership. And so I hope today's tips were able to help you start your homeschool year smoothly and with confidence. And if you've ever find yourself wondering what's next, or am I doing this right, our homeschool coaches are here for you. So we have our premium and lifetime membership that gives you an unlimited one-on-one coaching calls with our homeschool coaches and the protection your family needs throughout your homeschool journey. So if you use code back to homeschool, you will get the premium membership for $99 or the one-time payment of $999 for the lifetime membership. So the QR code is on the screen and the link is in the chat, so you can pick the right membership for your family. And with that membership, I mentioned the coaches, which you will meet all of them. You've already met Heather, and you'll meet, most of our lovely ladies. Lindsay will not be able to join us today, but you will meet some of our lovely ladies at 2:30. So they have this one-on-one coaching opportunity that we talked about, but we also have an opportunity for these free discovery calls. So if you're just getting started and just kind of want to know about THSC, need a hand with your homeschool journey, and just need someone to talk to, and you are just feeling overwhelmed, then you can use this QR code, and we put the link in the chat as well. But we do have a first free discovery call that you can use to get started. And all of those ladies are absolutely wonderful. So I would definitely take advantage of that. We also have upcoming webinars. We have our full schedule out for the year. So we have more information to come on all of these upcoming events. But we just want to go ahead and get you all the information that we have. So we have we're excited to announce the schedule. On October 8th, we're going to have high school transcripts. So that is going to be a how to do your high school transcripts, when to start preparing for them, just everything you need to know about getting those ready for your students. And then on November 12th, we're going to have a Thanksgiving cook along. And so that's kind of going to combine science with thankfulness and cooking and the whole Thanksgiving season. And so that's going to be super exciting and fun. And so that's going to be something that you get to do hands-on along with the presentation. And so we are looking forward to that one. In February, we are going to have our Inside the Dome, which for you who are not familiar with our Capital Days, this is going to be our kickoff for all of that. And so we are going to do a webinar version of kind of being able to look at the legislative sessions and how all of the process and how all of that works. And so we're going to be able to go ahead and in February dive into all of that through a webinar, and then we will go in person in March and April. So we're super excited about that. And then in April, of course, we're going to have our convention preview. We did that this past year, and we're excited to do it again this year, and just kind of give the how-to of convention and all of our wonderful speakers and vendors and all of the opportunities that we're going to have there. So we'll do that April 8th. We also have our graduations. So we're looking forward to celebrating homeschool graduates across the state with all of our THSC graduations in the spring. So there is a QR code and then there's a link in the chat, and that's just going to take you to our list of graduations. As you can see, we have them spread pretty decently across the state. So if you have a homeschool senior this year, you're definitely going to want to check that out. Some of those locations already have their dates posted on them. Some of them not quite yet, but we also will have all of that information coming up. And then we have our Capital Days. So if you did not participate in the 2025 Capital Days, you're definitely not going to want to miss out on the 2027. So this is a time where you can take your kids along on a fun and educational experience at the state capitol, learning about the Texas legislative process and getting hands-on experience with lobbying and presenting your concerns to our state leaders. So we want to make sure that we show up and are heard, but also just like Heather was saying, of field trips and teaching your kids, and you learn through life and getting to know all of this stuff. And so it's a really great opportunity for your kids to practice that good citizenship that is required in Texas to be as part of your education. And then in the spring, we will also have our Leaders Summit. So whether you're a co-op leader, run your local homeschool sports club, or you're the friend that plans the outings and helps your friends in their homeschool journey and does all the things, I would definitely encourage you to join THSC as we provide encouragement, resources, and connection to other leaders who understand exactly what you're going through at our 2 leader summits in 2027. So these are going to be February 20th and June 2nd. So we also, okay, oh wait, I want to say one more thing before we get to our giveaway. So we put a link in the slides up there when we did the webinars. So I did not mention that, but that link that went up there and that QR code that is on all of the events slides, that will take you to a spot where you can sign up for email notifications. And you can select whether or not you want to hear about all of our events or just the events that you are interested in. So if you are wanting to know when registration is going to be able to open and when you're going to be able to get all of that information. So as those things become available, emails will be going out about those things. So if you are interested in any of these events and want to make sure that you are getting that information and knowing when when the sales go live and stuff, make sure you sign up for those emails. And you can pick exactly what you want to hear about. So now we are going to do our giveaways, and we are so excited. So we're going to do our first giveaway, and that slide is not quite correct. It is 2 tickets to the Capital Days. So we are going to do our giveaway for the Capital Days, the 2027 Capital Days, for those 2 tickets, and our winner is Paige Sommers. So if you are Paige Summers, congratulations. You have won 2 tickets to Capital Days, and we would love to see you at either of those dates in March or April. So if you just drop your email into the chat, then Ashlyn, our wonderful communications person, will pick that up, and she will email you with how to redeem that and how to go about that. So congratulations, Paige. Our second winner for our full 2026 convention recordings, that is going to be Ashley Vestal. Ashley, congratulations. And it'll be the same thing. You just drop your email in there and Ashlyn will get you all of the information, send you the link to get your free recordings. And so I really hope that Paige, I really hope that you're able to join us for Capital Days, and that is an encouragement and a great thing for your family. And then Ashley, I really hope that those recordings are able to serve you well in your homeschooling this year. Thank you all so much for coming. I hope that you can join us for the rest of our sessions today. Don't forget that our next one is at 11. And don't forget to sign up with the link in the chat to hear all of the details about our upcoming events as they are finalized. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. And we look forward to seeing you in a little less than an hour.